Welcome back, everybody. This is the Fantasy Facts Podcast brought to you by Fantasy Data. This is part 3 of an 8-part series where Seth and I break down each division. We're talking sleepers, breakout, busts, and studs. Tonight, we're talking AFC North. You ready, Seth?
Oh, I'm ready. I like how you just keep throwing breakouts in there. It's not part of the title, but we're talking about it anyway. It's more gifts. It's gifts for everybody.
It's more to talk about. Make sure you're giving the show a follow. We're at the Fantasy Facts on Twitter. I'm at Dynasty_Pat. Seth is at FF, the at-home dad. And let's get right into the quarterback position here in the AFC North. Couple of names have gone. Big Ben retired. Baker Mayfield traded. So now we're looking at the studs, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, and a couple of new guys. I mean, not Watson. He's not new, obviously, but he's looking at a 6-game suspension to start the year. And then Pittsburgh, it's really, is it Trubisky? Is it Pickett? Is it Rudolph? It's just a giant cluster there in Pittsburgh. So
and not touching any of them.
No. The only quarterback, give me Burrow and give me maybe Lamar. I'm not a big Lamar Jackson fan, but I guess if I got to take one, I'll take Joe Burrow. Give me Burrow all day.
Yeah, I think both of them are studs, and I think both of them are good picks where, you're getting them in the top 6 in a super flex league, and you're getting them, Lamar can fall in a single QB league. Joe Burrow falls as well, but I think there's still recency bias with drafting him, and plus he looked really good. So,
you can't go wrong with either of those two.
Yep.
I personally staying away from Pittsburgh and probably Cleveland.
Yep.
Want no part of that situation either.
Nope.
Running backs.
Let's go.
Running backs. Loaded, very top heavy here, right?
Yes.
We have Najee Harris. We have Joe Mixon.
Stud.
Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is criminally underrated. That might be just me. And then we have the running back mess that is Baltimore. You have Dobbins. You have Edwards. You have is it Tyson
Williams?
Williams. Who? Beatty.
Tyler Beatty.
Beatty. Boy. You got your studs at the top. I guess you could put Dobbins in the category when he's healthy, but I'm not a fan of really anyone in Baltimore, to be honest. I hate to say it, but I'm just not a fan of anybody there. None of them really have breakout potential. None of them really have bust potential because they're all coming at a discounted price. Give me Harris, Mixon, Chubb, or give me Kareem Hunt in PPR leagues.
I was just going to say Kareem Hunt going as the running back 30. He's going, pick 67.4 ADP, and he finishes inside the top 24 running backs constantly. And so I don't think he's a sleeper because everyone knows about him. I guess you're sleeping on him because he's RB 30 versus closer to where he's probably going to finish around that 20-ish mark for running backs. And if anything were to happen to Chubb, he fills in right away to take over all of those touches for that backfield. But there's not really much in terms of sleepers here. There's not really much in terms of really bust candidates unless an injury happens. Like Najee's not going to bust unless something drastic happens. Right. Chubb isn't going to bust unless something drastic happens. Joe Mixon isn't going to bust unless something drastic happens.
Yep.
If his recurring injuries that happened in the past come back, that's not going to be there. I think and honestly, same thing with Dobbins. I'm not excited to go out and get him. I did take him in the Scott Fishbowl draft because I needed to get a running back, but I'm not excited to have him in most drafts because of the return from injury, and even before injury, who was splitting time with Gus Edwards, which is like, how do you get excited for that?
I can get excited for it at the right price. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yep, I'm taking J.K. Dobbins as a top 3 running back. Like in the front, like no, if Dobbins falls, I'll gladly take a chance on him there. But I'm not investing serious draft capital in any running back in Baltimore, and until I see otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one of those cases where we may be wrong, but you know what?
We probably are.
I'm okay with being wrong with certain guys that, it's like I don't see how they're going to. I don't see the outs.
Yeah.
And if they hit it, good for them. I've been in enough poker games and enough blackjack tables where it's like it's almost impossible, but not nearly. It is very improbable that they just got the one card they needed. God damn it. Like I've been in enough of those where it is what it is. They happen sometimes. I'm okay with betting on the more likely situation. And to me, that's probably a committee in Baltimore. So
agreed.
Yep.
Tight end position. Ready?
Again, one that I think is maybe loaded's the wrong word, but you have Mark Andrews, who finished as the tight end 1 last year. Going off the board as the tight end 2 this year. PPR draft 24.2. I'm not a huge fan of reaching for tight ends, but I'm more of a like, if they get to me, like I'm happy taking. If I take a stud running back, a stud wide receiver, and a stud tight end in Mark Andrews, like that's a pretty good start to the draft for me, and that could possibly happen with his ADP being at 24. And I also like Pat Freiermuth coming in as tight end 11.
Love Freiermuth.
Yeah,
especially at that price.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, yeah, Pittsburgh's quarterback situation, complete mess. But again, narrative driven. But what do most bad quarterbacks and young quarterbacks lean on? That's the tight end, because they're a big body over the middle. And even if it's not that good of a throw, they're usually big enough, have the box out skills where you're not getting picked off. Like if you throw a bad pass outside on an out route where, the DB is just going to jump it and boom, pick 6. Mm-hmm. So even though the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh is a complete mess and absolutely atrocious, I want Pat, especially if I can get him all the way at the end. Like I don't have to use early round picks to get a tight end that was phenomenal last year.
Right. So Freiermuth, yep, agreed. A guy that I think is being slept on is Harrison Bryant down in Cleveland. I know he's behind Njoku, but he is basically free.
Yeah.
He's probably not being drafted. He's a guy that can step in right away. Njoku goes down, misses any time. Harrison Bryant steps right into a kind of a featured role. He only scored 62 PPR points last year, but he had the same number of receiving touchdowns as Austin Hooper and was one behind David Njoku with 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
With way less receptions and 240 less yards than Njoku. So I'll take my chances on Harrison Bryant as being a breakout tight end candidate in the AFC North.
Yeah, and I'll throw one more out there also as a sleeper / breakout candidate for tight end in this division, and that's Hayden Hurst. And no, I'm not saying that just because I was on the mental health podathon. That is, Hayden Hurst is one of the main people, and the raising of money and funds to help promote mental health awareness is the Hayden Hurst Foundation, which is, if you have not checked that out, please go check it out. It's something that FF Faceoff does. So proud to be a part of it. So proud to be a part of that Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. That being said, one, I like being able to root for guys that I root for.
They're good. They're good people.
Right. 2, Hayden Hurst is going as tight end 19 and with an ADP of 152. In the Warrior Bowl that I'm in, another large kind of charity league bowl, I got Hayden Hurst in like the 18th round as my number 1 tight end. Am I super excited in a tight end? It's a minimal tight end premium league that he's my number 1 tight end. I'm not that excited, but I also am like, hey, those guys late. Hayden Hurst is tied to Joe Burrow on a prolific offense, or should be prolific offense. And I got him for basically free. And all of those earlier picks, I was able to use, hopefully, fortifying positions like running back and wide receiver, which are going to be the more dynamic positions throughout the season because of injuries and gameplay and game flow and just the way fantasy football is played. So Hayden Hurst to me is a phenomenal sleeper, breakout, whatever you want to title it, candidate for tight ends in this division.
I like it. Let's move to wide receivers real quick. Some names are no longer part of the AFC North. Juju Smith-Schuster has moved to Kansas City. Hollywood Brown is in Arizona. Jarvis Landry's in New Orleans. Sammy Watkins is in Green Bay. James Washington is in Dallas. So a lot of guys have left here, but we still have the big names up at the top, right?
Yep.
We still have Jamar Chase. We still have T. Higgins. We still have Deontay Johnson. We still have Rashad Bateman. We still have Tyler Boyd. Amari Cooper is probably the newest name coming from Dallas to Cleveland. So, Seth, who do you like at the wide receiver position in the AFC North?
I mean, I think it's real easy to talk about all the Cincinnati people, Chase, Higgins. Again, I feel like Deontay Johnson's being valued slightly wrong here. He finished as a top 5 with Ben Roethlisberger, and the whole complaint was, well, Ben Roethlisberger sucks as a quarterback. Deontay Johnson could have done so much better, but Ben was such a bad quarterback in his final year. And it's like, well, so what's the issue with Deontay Johnson this year? He has bad quarterbacks in Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. And it's like, so he had a bad quarterback and did fine, and now he has 2 bad quarterbacks,
but he's not
you're giving him and we're putting him at such a discount. And it's like, yeah, Ben is better. I don't want to, I don't want to misconstrue that. Ben is better than either of those 2 guys probably will be in their entire career, and either late in his career, Ben was probably better than what they'll be in their careers. Yeah. But you can't say, it doesn't make logical sense to say Deontay Johnson was great last year, but Ben was terrible. They're going to have new quarterbacks that are going to be just as terrible, but Deontay's going to be bad. And so I think he's probably one of the guys, again, not a sleeper because he's still going.
He was
wide receiver 16.
He was a wide receiver 1 last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like the easy pick here for a breakout wide receiver is Rashad Bateman, right? Yeah. Hollywood Brown's no longer there. Bateman's a wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. I'm going to go a different route. And I'm going to go to Cleveland, and I'm going to go Donovan Peoples-Jones as a sleeper candidate here. Amari Cooper's the hot new toy in Cleveland. DPJ has been there a year. And maybe I'm a little biased because I got to watch DPJ play at Michigan. But I like what I've seen from Donovan Peoples-Jones so far. I like him to outproduce his ADP. I mean, right now, he's coming off the board as wide receiver 82 with an ADP of 184. I think that's a no-brainer. He's going to outproduce that. Cooper, hard time staying on the field for a full season. I'll take the guy that's been in the offense for a year who can play your typical X wide receiver, right? I don't think Cooper can do that. I'll take Donovan Peoples-Jones at cost as a breakout kind of sleeper candidate here.
Yeah, and I'll throw two names out there really quick of guys that could be super late sleepers, and it's Devin Duvernay and James Prochet.
Yes, I'm glad you went there because I was going to go there too, but I like DPJ too much.
Yeah, and just super late guys. There's not a whole lot that's out there besides Rashad Bateman. Somebody in this offense. Granted, it's a smaller passing volume offense than some of the bigger name guys, but somebody still is going to step up to be a value here. And I think it's just a matter of which one do you like a little bit better, or which one falls to you, or which one can you get off the waiver wires week 1 when we finally see which of those guys is actually getting more run with with Lamar on the field.
Agreed. All right, that does it for the AFC North. If you're interested, head on over to underdog.com, use our promo code FAQS, FAQS, receive 100% deposit match up to $100 on your initial deposit. Head on over to fantasydata.com. All the ADP, all the numbers we've talked about tonight came from fantasydata.com. Use our code FAQS, FAQS at fantasydata.com. Receive 20% off of your subscription purchase. Head on over to Twitter. We are at the Fantasy Facts. I'm at Dynasty_Pat. Seth is at FF the At Home Dad. Go to our YouTube page. Last thing I promise, YouTube page. This is part 3 of an 8-part series where we break down each division. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button so that you are notified when the new shows come out. And with that, good night, everybody.
Catch you on the flip side.